Just a few weeks back, I was in this area coming past this bend in the road, and just over here on that ridge, I saw a black panther. So after seeing this, which was just over here on the top, we got out of the car. Alan from I Talk Cryptids was with me. He ran up the over around where it was, and I went down here because when we got to this point here, we'd seen that it had disappeared, and I went down here and followed the river going up that way. Now, we didn't come across anything, but I think it could have gone into them woods that are behind me there. So I have got a couple of cameras up there, one near the river further up and one further near a pond. There's two water sources here where it could be using, what it could be using. And like I say, I went that way, Alan went that way, and then we went over to this spot after, and we found the back end of a deer pelt just in the bushes, and a very horrible smell from that area, as though somebody had been leaving its mark behind. So what I'm doing today is changing the memory cards over, the trail cams I've got about, and taking them on to have a look and replacing them with blank memory cards. So I just thought I'd show you the area where it actually happened, where I actually saw it, which was just here behind me. I've got to be careful here because there's a little stream just running here, but it was just on the, and you'll come about here, you'll see here, just the legs there, but this tree here was hiding it as I came round the corner. So when we got past, it was like just there, and it was 2 seconds, just seen it for 2 seconds before I started to shout, stop the car. And by the time we got out and got over here, completely gone. Well, I've been coming up in the evening time, at night, during the day, when we've had good weather, I've been coming up and just looking around the area.
I'm not alone in claiming to have seen a big cat in the UK. There have been many reports of sightings across the nation, especially in Cumbria, Cornwall and Staffordshire. Some people believe these are escaped or released exotic pets, which others think they are just native species that survive in secret.
In the 1950s and 60s, where it became quite a common pastime to buy a tiger, a lion. You could go into Harrods and buy a lion or a tiger very cheaply, and it was the thing to do. Carnaby Street in the 1960s, there'd be people walking cheetahs and lions on leads right the way through the middle of London.
After us taking a good look round and not finding much evidence, I decided to head back home to recharge batteries for my trail cams and head back up. In between good and bad weather, I'm trying to get a trail cam up before it gets too bad. I want to get down near the river and put this up and leave it up for a few weeks.
I've got a nice spot here where I can put the trail cam near the river. We've got the river down at the bottom there. We've got all this area behind us. And I believe when I saw it, it came up the river here behind me and maybe into these trees behind me. So what I'm going to do is put the camera on a tree over here facing the river and facing this bank coming up. I will be putting it on this tree over here. There's a camera here. So with this tree here, I've got a nice clear view looking behind me over down the river, and it'll be nice in it in here.
The authorities realised that these animals were dangerous, and it was a common thing for people to have. But it wasn't until 1976 the British government thought, hang on a minute, there's too many of these animals being kept. There are animals being seen in the wild. We're going to have to make new legislation. But by that time it was already too late. We also have reports of people releasing those animals when it was legal to do so. You could release an animal before 1981. It wasn't until the Wildlife and Countryside Act 1981 that prevented people from releasing non-native animals. But the damage had already been done. By that time there was already a breeding core of pumas in the UK. And you had people on the case such as Nigel Brierley and all the people who worked on the 1960s and 70s big cat phenomenon. They were the first people to really document it and write books on it. But then of course when the 1980s came and 1990s there were far more sightings, and people were starting to realise that these animals were becoming naturalised in the UK. The common leopard and the puma are the most adaptable creatures on Earth. The puma, for example, lives all the way across the Americas, right from the far north right to the far south, in all terrains, thick jungle, dense rainforest, desert mountains, snowy mountains, lush river valleys. Every single type of environment the puma has managed to conquer, even in towns and cities. You take the common leopard that had an even bigger distribution right way across the old world. Now leopards used to live in the UK a few thousand years ago. They lived all the way across Europe. Before that English Channel was made, there's nothing stopping leopards moving to and fro from Northern Europe. So they lived all the way across northern Russia, right way over to China, right way down into Indonesia, right way across India and Africa. So they have the largest range of any known cat. And not only that, they are even more adaptable than pumas, because leopards have lived in every single terrain available, even in areas where there aren't much big game but maybe lots of smaller animals. They've managed to adapt their diet, feeding on things as small as grasshoppers, for example, right up to large animals the size of a buffalo. And the leopard is quite capable of filling all those niches and feeding on all animals in between, from fish, reptiles, snakes, hares, rabbits, deer, dogs, cats, all those animals in between. And they are that adaptable. They can live alongside man without man knowing it is there. The recent studies in Africa and India actually show that there are many leopards living in the biggest cities on Earth, and people are unaware of their presence, and yet they're feeding on domestic dogs, cats, rats and rubbish. That's how adaptable leopards are.
So I'm down at the bottom now, and I'm going to swap the memory card on this, which is just in front of me. And it is facing that way. So if anything does come up from this area, then it's going to definitely get in front of the camera and go off. As you can see, these are the trees in the distance where Alan went up to, and I went further along the river, coming up here, and then went up. But as you can see, such a lovely area, and you can imagine a big panther or leopard or anything living in this area. There's plenty of food for it, with deer, small birds, and the river here that runs along. So I'll just go and swap that over. Well, that's all done. Just got to be careful where I'm walking, because it is in a steep slope there. And now I'm going to sit around here myself for a bit. I think I've brought my binoculars with me, and I'm going to just sit on a few stumps that are over in front of her and look out and see if I can see anything about. And there are a few birds about. It's not gone quiet, because the last time we came, I was here with Carol Ann, and we came down to this area, and it was so eerie, it was so quiet. You know, today there's lots of bird song, but when we came down, maybe 2 weeks ago, it would have been about 2 weeks ago, and we were just in this area, and we felt as though someone was watching us. Everything was so quiet, bird song. You know, you could just about hear the water there, and we just feel easier. It was just a strange atmosphere altogether. Today it's not. Today, sunny, as you can see, and it's just sort of lovely. You know, you can hear the bird song in the distance. I can hear it. I don't know whether you can pick that up because of the noise of the river. But today it's lovely. So right, yeah, I'm going to go and sit down now. Get the binoculars out and have a good half hour or so, maybe an hour, and then head up to the where the other trail camera is.
There's a mixture of knowledge. There is public knowledge, but it's usually at a low level. It's usually people who actually see the animals, know other people who see them, are actually in the nitty-gritty of it all. But at another level, we're not told the truth about animals living in the UK. It's kept under wraps. And when it's not in the mainstream news or newspapers or whatever, then people tend to disbelieve it. But we do have all the evidence there, but people just need to dig deep and then they find it. They are renowned as being the most secretive animal. People who actually work on leopards, biologists in the field, sometimes never actually see the animals they're actually studying, but they gather the data from the field evidence, which is far more compelling. They don't actually need to see that animal, but they are so elusive. They are very, very intelligent. And people might ask, well, why don't people see these animals? Well, they do. We get over 2,000 reports a year to various organisations that are into this, and that's the tip of the iceberg. We've basically come to the conclusion that only 1 in a dozen reports or sightings actually get reported. So thousands of people right the way across the UK. It's not just the UK, remember. Wherever Westerners have lived, they've taken the animals with them. The problem is in Australia, New Zealand, Europe and North America as well.
Now, I've just come from this area behind me, and you always think when you're in these places it doesn't seem too bad. If you look down there, let's just walk through that, and unbeknown to me, it's quite deep, and I'll just go into it up to my shins, but it doesn't look deep. Even now that I've walked through it, it doesn't even look deep. It's so dangerous to get stuck in a place like this. So, as I will walk in there, then I'll show you what it's done to me. That's how deep it was. It doesn't look deep at all, but it was. And I nearly got stuck in there because it was sucking me down.
These cats roam large distances, and A male leopard, for example, may have a territory that might be around 20 or 30 miles. It may be a lot smaller, but within that territory, if he actually ekes out a territory as such, then he will encompass at least 2, maybe 3 female territories within his big territory. And what he will be doing is going around the perimeter of his territory on a regular basis, checking for those females, making sure they're in estrus so he can mate with them. If they're not, then he's checking to see whether or not there's other males entering his territory. And what they do is they put calling cards everywhere. This is how we know how many animals there are and what their territories are, because they leave physical evidence in the ground wherever they go, in the form of scats, scrapes, putting scent down with their hind feet, making areas on the ground, and tree scratching, and of course calling. And a leopard can travel 30 miles a night if it has to, although unlikely to be that far. But if you were, say, to release a leopard in the north of Scotland, you could say that it could be found on the south coast of England in a couple of years later. But of course it couldn't. There's big barriers, and they are roads, and roads kill animals regardless of what species they are. We have railway lines, we have rivers. Rivers aren't a problem to any big cat, they can swim. Leopards and pumas regularly swim rivers and lakes and things like that. But it's the roads that are a problem. But then again, we have other areas of travel, such as railway lines. Now those areas can be right from the north to the south of Britain, where they've got no cars crossing, they've got none of those problems. They can travel right away across railway lines, right way across the country. So you can, even if there was just 2 animals released by people, a male and a female, in time those 2 animals could end up meeting each other.
So this is the area where I put the camera, and the reason being is around here there are lots and lots of markings where deer have been, where they've been scraping into the ground and taking roots. There's a lot of deer scat around, and the camera itself is just here. So I'll just change the memory card. And that is now all set up for it to carry on doing what it's doing. But yeah, there are lots and lots of evidence of deer in this particular area, and it's not far from the pond. And there's some even here. There's lots of it here as well. And you can see it moving along where they've been eating the roots to the new shoots that are coming up. So we're again coming to the pond. So when I get back, I'll have a look at the cards and see whether there's anything on, and I will put them on after this little bit, what I've done here today. And maybe later on, when I do get more from this area, I'll put that up as well. But we've got evidence here of fox poo or badger poo. I'm not sure at the moment what that is, but I know it's not cat.
about 6 big cats get killed on Britain's roads every year. Most of those carcasses are cleaned up very quickly by the police because people see them and they telephone the police. In one incident, there was 2 pumas run over on the stretch of motorway that goes through Oxford, and they were in the central reservation, and I think the police had dozens of phone calls from people who were in vehicles high up enough to see those animals, such as trucks. They sent out people who closed off the road, and they picked up those carcasses. They're put in white vans, never to be heard of again. This happens regularly every year. In actual fact, there are many small roads that are closed off because big cats are being hit. The police collect them, but of course you never hear it in the media. There's never stories, big cat run over, blah blah blah, because they don't. They put a lid on it because they fear panic, and they're told to put a lid on it because they do not know these animals are naturalised. They probably think it's the only odd one individual, and people do panic. And if people knew there was a potential man killer living in an area, they would go ape. So it makes sense that the authorities keep a lid on it to prevent the panic. Yet in the other sense, it doesn't actually do much good to the people who are researching this, because they're always put down, and the debunkers or the skeptics will say, where's the evidence? We have no bodies. But I have a photograph of a body. I've actually got a skin at home, a pelt of a leopard that was a road victim.
Now, when I come out on these adventures, I'm connected to Google Maps, and my phone has got is GPS onto Google Maps. So if I do get stuck and I don't end up going home, Carol Ann looks at the phone, she can see whereabouts I am. Which I think is a really good idea for people like myself when we're out looking for things like this, and especially coming to these areas. It's always good to have a GPS on. So what have we got here? It looks as though we've got the jaw of a deer, and here the remains of a head of a deer. Now, have these fallen from the tree above? No, I don't think so. It's a bit too high up, Mark. But it's strange how these are just lying around. Is this possible evidence? We can't really say because there's nothing much on there. There's no marks. This just could have passed on, and it's been predated on normally, because I can't see any evidence of bite marks. No, none at all. But it's definitely a deer. Lower jaw. You can tell the difference with that and a sheep. And that still got a bit of sinew on it. Fresh, but not fresh. All I can do is have a look around and see if there's anything else. I wonder whether it's a Beast of Bolton that I saw from the car that day. The creature has been seen often enough in the Bolton area to be given the nickname the Beast of Bolton. There have been at least 11 reported sightings of the black panther-like beast around this area since 2000. In June 2006, head of English at Runworth School, Anne Wright, said she saw the creature as she looked out the bedroom window of her home. It was next seen in 2009 by a retired police officer, Peter Wood, who spotted the animal in the popular children's area of Leafham Park. It makes appearances and then vanishes for a few years.
In one case, when it was last sighted, it was in 2010. 2017, the last cat was spotted by Claire Parker at around 6 PM on a field behind her home in Little Lever. There is a green corridor that surrounds Bolton with sightings of the big cat. Could it be that this creature has mated and has had young? There have been reported sightings in and around Bolton now for 24 years. I believe the reports I have received about this cat on Winter Hill since 2019 onwards are of the alien big cat that has been given the name the Beast of Bolton.
I've come up this morning to have a look around the area. I've not been up for a week. It's now the weekend, and I'm really surprised at what's been done. I've lost the path, because the path, which I usually take, goes through this. So they've been in here, felling the trees. The path I usually take is here. So I'm going to walk around over to where I need to be. I've had to climb over the gate as well because they put a lock on there. So I'm hoping I can get my trail cam from this area before they start work again here. I saw the sign on the fence and thought, oh, right, like, I hope this doesn't make it difficult for me to get to where I need to go and pick up the camera. Not too bad. In fact, there's the original path. I'll get back onto that. There we go. So that's the path I usually take. But as you can see, I couldn't get past it. And yeah, they've been very busy. Because last time I came, last weekend, this was all still up. It was just like it is over there. Wow, that's pretty quick what they've done there. I thought I'd come back up and get my trail cams because I was talking to Lee last night and he was talking about that they were doing some possible logging in here. So I thought I'd better get to my camera before they actually get there themselves and take it down. My thinking was get here early because I got here as the sun was coming up. And if this cat is out here hunting early in the morning, hopefully I'll be able to see something or hear something. Or in the case of the bird song and everything, usually when a cat is out hunting, the area it's hunting in, all the birds and the wildlife will go quiet, which is a sign that there's something around. So that's why I thought I'd come up nice and early. So the camera's here. And just take this off. Put the rubbish in my bag. Don't want to be leaving that behind. Make sure this is off. I don't want to put it in my bag and it going off all the time. Still got plenty of battery life on it. Right, I'll check that when I get back and see what I've got on it. And maybe put it somewhere else around the area where they're not logging. So what I want to do is I'm going to check this area out over on that side of it. Because I've not been in there, and It'll keep me away from the logging, where I can actually go around to the river and pick my camera up that way, rather than going back the way I came. There are some tight spaces around here, which when you get to, it's hard to get past. I'm going to see whether I can actually get this way and see with the wind that we've had around here, and I can understand why they're logging around here now, because of all the tree fell. Now it's naturally fallen over like this big one here, and the one behind it. So the wind is picking up, so I'm going to have to be a little bit careful where I'm walking, because if they start swaying and falling over, I don't want to be stuck here. I don't want one of them coming down on me. So I've got through it, all over there, into this little spot here. Another little pond, well, looks like another little pond over in this direction. As you can see, this path here, which goes onto this field. And it looks like an old logging road. That's all grown over. Not used at all anymore. Which should have gone over there. In fact, where there's no trees or anything in the middle were probably the bit what they logged and then moved on down there. Well, that must have been quite a way back. It's amazing though, isn't it? No matter where you go, you think you're in the middle of nowhere and you're thinking, oh, this is lovely, it'd be great for coming and camping out and nobody will come round. And then you see something like that. Plastic bag. Nothing in it. I'll take that back with me. Well, I've just followed a deer trail. I've been following these droppings and scuff marks on the way over here. So I take it this is where they might come feeding. Yeah, there's plenty of grass around this area, plenty of new shoots where they can get to the roots to eat. Maybe I'm just a little bit later than normal and that's why I'm not seeing them, but there could be some out there. I can't see them. Maybe in the tree line. I don't fancy walking over that because I don't know how wet it is. If you follow the deer tracks sometimes, you will come to maybe there is a predator around feeding off them, or in this case with me seeing it, knowing there's a predator around that's probably feeding off them. I do wonder, with after me seeing this thing, whether it was just passing through, because it has been now over 6 weeks been looking around this area and not coming across anything. So yeah, was it just passing through this area and I was lucky to see it that day? I don't know. So what I'm doing is I'm thinking this is the area where the deers are walking, because every so often I keep coming to patches where there's droppings, and if I see it moving to my left or to my right I will follow it. But it looks as though they come from the field behind me and come in this direction. And I do know from the field behind me, if they are coming from there and going in this direction, they're headed towards the river. Maybe to drink the water there, and they head over here for the plantation, for the succulent shoots coming out of the ground at this time of year. Let's fallen from there and dropped straight into there. Now, I'm going to make my way to the logging, because I don't know how deep that is yet. But I do know I need to get to the other trail cam first, before I carry on looking around the area. And this might be a little bit difficult to get over. Now I've come to the logging track again, where they're doing the logging. So I walked in a circle, but I'm going to try and get over here without getting wet. It's sinking a bit though. And there we are again, into the logging road. Now I'm on the opposite side, and what I'm going to have to do is go through the woods in front and down, but they've not started work yet, so hopefully I can get down to the river, get the trail cam, and then head back up and go around here a different way. It's quite nice around here. I know they're doing the logging, but the smell of it with fresh pine smells really nice. How much to go around here? Run around in circles. If I go where the tractor is, there should be a clearer path for me to get down onto the other path. I'm not sure what I've got here, but there seems to be what looks as though it could be a paw print. Quite a big one as well. I've not got anything to measure it by. But what I will do is that twig that's lying on it, I will pick that up and measure that when I get home. And here I come across another, and this is going towards the river where I put the trail cam. Again, it looks as though someone's come here and left all this rubbish behind. Unbelievable. What a mess. Why can't people just tidy up after themselves? And why leave that? What's wrong? You know, you've got all this lovely woodland around, and you come across that. Why? Yeah, when I see things like that, you know, it worries me, especially when I put my trail cams about. You know, I always think, am I going to get there? It's disappeared. You know, has somebody taken it? But hopefully where I have put this one down near the river, it's not really noticeable. So I'm down at the bottom, and as you can see behind me, which once I've got the trail cam from here, I'm going to head over to that direction over there and have a look in that area, because I think that is the side where it either went up that way or this side where it went up that way. So I'll go and get the trail cam And like I say, I'm just gonna pick my trail cams up today and then place them somewhere else. Maybe on that other side over there. And we have got a few deer markings going along here, so I might pick something up. There we go. Yeah, a few prints along there, deer prints. I'll pop this into my bag and then find a way down and over. But before I do that, this is a nice place to sit. This is where I sat last time. Because I did bring with me a nice cup of coffee, which I'll drink while I'm here. Cheers. Down at the river then, and the wind just started picking up. And I heard this crashing noise. I thought, oh, what the hell's that? You know, and I came running to this point from down at the bottom, which is behind me. And I got to this point, and this is where the crashing noise came from. Well, I'm just pleased I weren't walking past this at all. There we go. Must have snapped up at the top there and come crashing down, and it's stuck into the ground here. So I'm going to be very cautious walking through this area at the moment. I wish I'd seen it and got it on camera, but no, I was right down there near the water. I could hear it come crashing down. Yeah, so you can't really hear it, but the wind is picking up, and I'll point you up. It's not moving that much, but it must have moved enough for that to actually come crashing down. Back here again, right to the beginning. So up until last week, this you could open, and now they've put this great big lock on it. It still is a right of way, but it means just climbing over this instead of going through the gate. So I'll head over to the other side now. On the other side now, I'm having a good look round. I've been here quite a bit on this side now. I think I'm making my way to the other part because I've not come across anything. And it's quite quiet. The wind's picking up still. So I'm going to go to the other side and walk towards the village when I get there, called Edgerton. I'm just watching where I'm walking at the moment. So yeah, I'll walk back, walk down the other side and walk down to Edgerton, and then start making my way home, which I'm getting some funny sounds from this direction, so I'm going to go and have a look. Could be geese. It's like a geese with the sore throat, actually. So, well, I'm going this way anyway, so I'll see what it's like on the other side of the road while I'm making my way back home. So what I've done now is I've come to the other side and I've found this path which will take me back to the village. And I never knew this was down here on this side because we never come looking around this area. We've got a spring, what must be underground here, and it's coming out just at this point. In fact, it's just here coming down and that's coming out here on this little bridge I'm walking over. So as you can see, there's all these woods around me, and this part is lovely, and I can imagine it's sort of digging around this area and hiding around this area. But if there's no food for it round here, then probably it'll come around along where I'm walking now and come to the area of the villages. Because the smells of the village, where I come out now, there's a restaurant. So you can imagine if it is hungry and it's smelling the food cooking, it could end up coming up here. I'm back on the other side at a dense area. I'm trying to get through. On that side over there, behind me, that's where I had my camera. So I've actually come up here again to have another look round. I've got an hour and a half of daylight. I'm here with Caroline. She's wandering around in the bushes somewhere. Or in the trees, not bushes. And I'm having a look on this side. This is a garden here. What somebody's made. Looks like they've been out camping here and they've made themselves a little table. I need to get through an area. It's very dense here. So I might have to go back the way I've come to get in there. I don't think I can get past. Oh no, I can. No, definitely not. Definitely not. Let's go back this way. I'll go through here. I can smell fox. So I know there's a fox around here somewhere. It smells quite strong. Very musty. Caroline's in front of me over there. So what we're doing is I'm coming up to the top here to work my way down towards the river in front of me. And I'm going to see if I can get right down to the bottom of the river. I actually brought some fish with me, some sardines, which I'm going to put high up in a tree and have the camera facing, see if we get anything that way. I'm hoping we're putting the fish around. It'll pick up the scent and maybe come around the area and take it. But all around this area, which a lot of the trees have fallen down on, I'm going to have to turn you around. That's where I've just come from. Down, if you keep going, there's a dip. I'll take you down to the river where the camera was. This is this side. All these trees that have fallen over here. And you've got them in the distance there. And just through the trees there, you can see Caroline seeing what I'm doing. So here we've got great big massive fallen trees all surrounding us. And we're just following what might be a waterway. You know, I'm thinking we should have stuck to the path. So I've come to this river here, this little bit of a stream, should I say, not a river, and it goes down into a river further along. It's quite hard to get to. And along this path here, there are lots and lots of deer tread marks going along here where they must be coming to the clear water to drink and then head up onto the field over there. So what I'm going to do with having the camera there, I have actually brought some fish with me, which I'm going to put onto a branch here that's hanging over, and I'm going to leave that up for at least a month or 2 months. Hopefully the fish will bring any predator along with a smell in the air, but I'm hoping to catch it coming down here and coming drinking around here. So what I did get, some sardines from the supermarket, and I'm going to put these around up on that branch and place it on a few branches around here. So that's one camera up, and the fish there that are around there. Got some more fish here. I'm going to put another camera somewhere else. I've only got about half an hour of daylight now, so I've got to be pretty quick getting out of this area because it's very, very steep on either side. So I'll put this down here, I'll keep this down here, and then I'll go up on higher ground and do the same in the wooded area. So the camera there, and that's facing this branch here. As you can see, we've got all the deer hoof marks coming down along here, and I put the fish in the tree, and with it being nice and windy today, the smell should travel, and I'm just hoping that we capture something, even if it's deer. Me and Caroline got out of the area now where I've just put the fish in the camera. It's too dark, or it's going too dark now to put the other one up. So what I'll do is the fish I've got I'll freeze and come up tomorrow and put it up somewhere else. I want to put that camera, leave it up there on that side of the woods, and then I'm going to go right on the opposite side of the woods and put a camera over there with the fish. So what I'm going to do now is call it a day, get back home, and leave. Once I get the other camera up tomorrow, I'll be leaving both of these up for a good 2 or 3 months, I've decided, and then come up. In the meantime, just keep coming up and having a loop round, but leaving the cameras up. I want to get as much footage as I can. So I'm coming to the end of this video now, and if there's any other bits of footage I do find, I'll put that here up on YouTube so you can watch the progress of what we do when we're out here looking for strange things around the area of Winter Hill. And I'll see you soon, and thanks for watching.
The following footage is from the trail cameras that have picked up the wildlife in the process of making this video.